and welcome to the Painted Bride Quarterly Slush Pile. Whee! Welcome also to 2018. That's about all we know, that this will be released in 2018, and I'm thinking it's much better already. Don't you feel it?
2018.
Yeah, 2018. I feel it. This is the Painted Bride Quarterly Slush Pile. We curate the best work so that you don't have to. I figured since this is our first recording of the year that, and I guess you guys even already heard her giggle. Spoiler alert, Marion's here.
In your actual time zone.
In our time zone, and sharing the mic with me.
Woo-hoo.
So, you know how I always love it when I get to touch her? We're basically sitting thigh to thigh. So I'm very, very, very happy. I thought that we would quickly tell you the inception story of the Painted Bride Quarterly Slush Pile. So Marion and her husband were visiting with me and my then boyfriend for the weekend of New Year's, and we went to a big psycho killer meat party.
That's right.
What's that about?
Kevin Krutoff's meat party. Instead of the 7 fishes for Christmas, he does 7 meats for New Year's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And in between all of that, we were talking lots and lots about podcasts, and we were talking lots and lots about how badly we feel for how long we hold on to authors' work. Mm-hmm. And that dilemma comes up with us pretty constantly. Every other month, we're wringing our hands and going, what can we do to expedite our process? Mm-hmm. So even with as many readers as we have, and staff in Abu Dhabi, a staff in New York, and a staff in Philadelphia, we just have the most difficult time. But we have made a blood vow back when we took this ship over more than 20 years ago to keep a democratic editorial policy.
Right.
So at some point, now this is where Marion and I always laugh our butts off, because I always go, no, that was your idea. And she goes, no, that was your idea. No, that was your idea. So I think we're going to decide to say that simultaneously at the very same exact moment in stereo we said, let's make a podcast. and actually have an editorial board meeting on air.
Right. That's what I recall. And it's funny, just to go back to that point you were making, it's really counterintuitive. As we grew the editorial boards, it actually slowed the process down, right? Because more people were reading, more manuscripts. So the bigger the conversation, the slower the conversation, but the more dedicated the conversation. Right? We have, readers world over paying attention to these manuscripts. And so that's the gist of the podcast, too, is to highlight the way attention gets paid to the poems that land in the slush pile.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we are. So that's how we got here. And we're going to be, so it's the anniversary of the inception. Mm-hmm. And in March, is that an immaculate, I'm going to get all confused. Something. I don't know. It's holy, I think, if it happened on New Year's. But our anniversary is late March. So and we just get better all the damn time. So this we that I keep talking about, half of it is me. I'm Kathleen Volkmiller, and I'm an essayist and the director of the graduate program at Drexel University, and many, many other things. I'll keep you another half hour. But I'm going to elbow Marion now instead of going, Marion!
And so happily elbowed at your side. Marion Wren, I co-edit with Kathleen and this team in Philly and the team in Abu Dhabi and the team in New York. And I direct the writing program at New York University and Abu Dhabi. So shout out to Abu Dhabi and lots of love to the desert. And next to me is...
Tim Fitz, and I am the author of Go Home and Cry for Yourselves and Hypothermia, 2 short story collections. I teach here at Drexel and the Curtis Institute of Music and Penn State Brandywine and Temple.
Here's another half hour.
All the colleges. Yep.
And sitting next to me is Joe.
Hello, I'm Joseph. I'm a sophomore English major, co-op for Drexel Publishing Group, cat lover, dog lover, dancer.
All those things are astoundingly true.
Astoundingly true.
And if our listeners can even stand it, this episode is so very special. We have a special guest, Jennifer Knox.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Slush Pile.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm Jennifer Knox. If you see my name in print, it usually has an L in the middle of it, Jennifer L. Knox, and the L stands for Samuel L. Jackson. I'm the author of 4 books of poems. I teach writing all kinds of writing, including creative writing at Iowa State University.
Yay!
That's lots
So
of
I'm
stuff.
calling him from Iowa.
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 And where exactly are you? Are you in your office? Are you in a closet? Are you sitting on your bed?
I'm in my living room.
You living room.
I have 4 birds.
Yes.
So I had to, and I hope the mic doesn't pick them up because I had to darken the room and close the door. So, and they know actually I'm walking around right now, so they're starting to perk up.
I
So
can
I'm going to
just
sit
hear
back
them.
down.
Yeah, listening for it. I feel like I heard a little tweet.
Little tweet in the background.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what's kind of perfect about that, Jen, is when Marion's calling from Abu Dhabi, you may have heard this. A cuckoo clock goes off on the hour and the half hour. So almost every episode of The Slush Pile has at least one cuckoo clock moment.
Exactly. So cue the birds. Jennifer.
I
Cue the
cannot
birds.
believe that they have cuckoo clocks in Abu Dhabi.
Well, Marion
That
does.
is cognitive dissonance. That's frying the wires for me.
I don't know if the country does, but
They
Marion
should.
does.
NYU does. Marion does. That's what it is.
Marion does. Yeah. So yeah, we can make them squawk later, maybe at the end as part of our applause. Okay, I guess it's time to get rolling, and we have 2 wonderful poems by 2 wonderful poets. And can I voluntold Marion Wren to read first?
Oh, okay.
Would you like to?
Happily voluntold.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah. There you go.
So, we are reading a poem by Lauren Michelle Jackson, and it is called "A Child of Hers Has Rules for Color." Don't put black girls under blue light, she sighed, peering at the scope that did not see as God her intended. My mama, like her mama, told us about yellow, the only safe color. Yellow like, yes, the sun, whose acrylic tips tickle the microfine follicles and entreat our skin its secrets. Come. Yellow bathes in young love, cradles minds elastic, asks for only that part of your soul your body doesn't need anyway. White folks know what yellow can do. White folks gave Black Barbie what, yes, purple instead. Some say yellow is a privilege, perhaps true. Yellow drapes or maybe languishes in a heat from the before time when no cream necessary for what better shield than the roof of planter who saw you made, laced waist to ankle. Yellow, a fantasy, yes, but may it also exude a greatness unbound. Y'all, Lauren Michelle Jackson, what is this thing on the page? And it was beautiful in my mouth.
Yeah, you did a great reading. Thank you so much.
Wow. All right, thoughts. What are you thinking? What do you think about this piece?
I just like it a lot. It's got a good flow, a good rhythm. And like there are some interesting like line breaks. So like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th stanza to the 6th stanza, white folks. That's like an interesting line break that I'm sort of, in most contexts, would be worried about just sort of taking me out of a poem or just being weird. Like, I'd think that's just a weird line break and it would distract me from the content of the poem, but it just worked, and especially with your reading, too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know what, Joseph? Thank you for pointing to that one, because yellow starts like the 1, 2, 3, 4th stanza and the 5th stanza, right? So yellow is a noun there.
Yeah.
And then white at the end of that stanza, you think it's a noun, but it becomes an adjective.
Yeah.
Like across that space in the stanza break, that is some tricky shit, right? And it was, and that was what made it fun to read too. Like the way she shifted, almost like at a sort of grammatical level, what the words were doing, and a conceptual level too.
Yeah, I think that's the strength of this poem. Is it is rich with using words in a way that I would never expect. So it's full of surprises, and yet they work. She takes a lot of risks, and you could see that they're choices.
Yeah.
They're not accidents.
Yeah, you know what, Jennifer? There's like the third to the last stanza, that surprise in the choice happens in the second line. So some say yellow is a privilege, perhaps true. Yellow drapes. And I'm thinking drapes is a noun there, or maybe languishes.
Yes,
and then
yes.
drapes become
yellow drapes, or maybe it languishes.
Yeah, dude, like she back configures drapes from a noun to a verb, and it happens as you read forward. You're getting the poem a second time. It's like a dipsy doodle. Like I don't know how she managed to do that, but it's really lovely how that happens.
Yeah, I should have. What's the word for it when you make these colors nouns? Yellow languishes, all these they do things, right? Yellow bathes. Yellow. I love the play with that.
Anthropomorphizes? I don't know.
I don't know. That's not right.
Human,
Yeah,
but
because
it
that
gives
makes
the
it
color
human.
agency, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Who's Planter? What's Planter? Should I know that reference?
That part of the poem, I felt like I was slipping a little bit. Like I couldn't quite catch.
I feel
the
like
meaning.
she's ratcheting up in those 3 lines the experimentation that she's doing. But that word, the planter, lost me.
Yeah,
and it's not the planter; it's the roof of planter.
Right. And I have to say, like the first time I read this poem, when we were sort of like digging through the slush pile, I thought it was a planter on the roof. Like it's like somebody was witnessing something, right? But I can't quite untangle that. What better shield than the roof?
It's the roof of the planter who saw you made. Is yellow, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, whoever planter is, whatever planter is, the roof of planter saw yellow made, and it is a shield to yellow as well.
Right.
So it sounds like some kind of roof.
Languishes in heat from the before time.
I don't know. So I've just spent too many seconds trying to figure out what that is instead of enjoying.
Yeah.
as I had been.
I was afraid that maybe I had missed something with the planter, that I should know. I love the use of italics. Readers, listeners, allow me to remind you that you can read this poem on our website, so you can see what she's done and where these line breaks that we're praising and the italics that she's used are.
Yeah, so I will say that the entry into the poem and the exit from the poem are the places where my feet slip, so to speak, right? Like, she sighed peering, right, so don't put black girls under blue light, she sighed peering at the scope that did not see as God her intended. Like, I'm almost with that, right? Like, I'm almost catching the idea of that, but it feels a little bit close to the vest, so to speak. Like there's like the poet knows what that means, but I don't yet, right?
Yeah. Right.
And I feel the same way on the way out.
Might be the her instead of, but then you have 2 she's.
Right, and it's the third stanza. My mama, like her mama, told us about yellow. Like I'm there. That's sort of like it grounds me really clearly.
But even in that title, right, a child of hers with a cap H. Yeah. Is that God is a female?
Yes. Yes.
Or the grandmother, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But why would you put a cap H on anybody but God?
Because it's God, and then you see that again in the 4th line. God/her cap H. Right. So. Yeah.
Tim, you've been silent over there.
Well, I like this line about halfway through. White folks know what yellow can do. I think what's interesting about that line is I'm not sure they do know what yellow can do. I think last year Cherie was saying how she hates it when white people make race about themselves. And so ever since she said that, I've been kind of keyed in on how different races think the other race thinks. And I don't think they either really knows. I mean, how could they really know? And I feel like it seems like white people might know what yellow can do, but they don't really think about that. I don't think they have any idea. I think they see things as very binary. It's interesting, but I don't dislike that in the poem. I just think that's an interesting moment for discussion that brings that to light.
Right. Well, it's fascinating that you brought that up. That was the exact line that Joseph came to first, right? And I'm thinking that she doesn't. I think she might mean a little bit sardonically, because the next line. This is actually my favorite graph. I think a stanza. I think white folks give black Barbie what? Oh, ah, yes. purple.
Purple.
Yeah.
The color of a black Barbie
that?
Yeah.
definitely is a bit purple.
Yeah.
You know, it's plummy. It's like a plum. And that's, so I thought she was being a bit sardonic. And I love that, yes, purple.
It's
And
especially
italics.
great to hear it.
Damn.
It's a pleasure to hear it.
And I think,
That's my favorite.
I think the
stanza.
white people making the Barbie still don't even have any idea. I don't think they realize they're making it purple either. I think it's just one thing or another thing. You know, I think-
Maybe, yeah,
and
yeah.
which is also a type of criticism too, because they're just oversimplifying it.
Which,
Either.
you know,
I think anybody who has to base their behavior on the unthinkingness of white people knows how white people think a lot more than white people do. In other words,
yeah.
if you have to respond to the thoughtlessness of white people making that purple Barbie, white people don't. So I think you're more in tune to it, in tune to all the terrible things that
Yep.
can happen because of that thoughtlessness
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we're snapping
and that
again.
lack of mindfulness.
And you know what, Jennifer, that points right back to the title, right? And sort of helps me decode the title a little bit. A child of hers, like
Yes.
a child of God, has rules for color, right? So this, like, the drawing of significance from thoughtless codes,
Yeah.
like, holy shit. If that's not a painful and transcendent, tragic way to be in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think we're going to take a moment to say this, too, so that our listeners learn something about how this process works. When I wrote Lauren Michelle Jackson and asked her if we could use this on the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's how the procedure goes, right? Everybody submits to the regular, through the submittable portal. And then as we read, if we come across something that we think would be really great for one of these conversations, we then ask permission for the podcast. And of course, it doesn't affect our reading of the work if the people choose not to. I will say the vast majority of the time they say yes, go for it at 95% of the time. But Lauren Michelle, I apologize to you, Lauren, if you would rather I not say it, but I'm going to say it. So when she wrote back, she said, yes, but I have made some revisions. And the very short thing that I'm going to tell you that she revised is the title was lowercase I dot yellow.
Oh.
Do you remember reading it now?
Now I do.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then
Okay.
she changed it
Yep.
to this. A child of hers has rules for color. And I freaking love this title. You know, even that title, just say it with me.
Yeah.
A child of hers has rules for color.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wonderful mouthful.
Delicious. Delicious.
It's delicious. Yeah. Actually, that first title points to the moments in the poem, instances in the poem that buck me off rather than keep me in, like in the in the third stanza, last line, how about is capitalized at the
Yeah.
beginning of that line. Fuddy-duddy stuff like that.
Right.
In the stanza that begins with folks know what yellow can do, that last line with oh ah yes purple period instead, rather than getting rid of that period and flowing into the next word, having those like come instead,
yeah.
perhaps is capitalized at the beginning of a line. So just those things that make me stop and say, why is this capped? So I period yellow is one of those telegraphic utterances that isn't speaking to me. It's making a sound, but it's not speaking to me. And with something as complex as this, I want the surface to be flawless.
Okay, I'm waving my arms in the air and internally screaming high hosannas because this is why I love the podcast, right? Like, that fuddy-duddy, like air quotes around fuddy-duddy, like that reading, Jennifer, you just taught me so much about how good poems work, right? And like if our listeners are poets themselves and how might they go about revising or tightening or editing their work for the reader, holy mackerel, that was worth the price of admission. Thank you.
Great, good. tell it to my students.
Yes.
They get into writing because they especially poetry, because they never want to use another capital letter again. They never want to use an apostrophe. They love ampersands. They just want to let stuff roll.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know it's fun, but it's like a meal. Who's going to eat it? If you take away their forks, spoons, and plates, they can't eat it.
Oh my God, I love that metaphor. Oh my gosh, I'm stealing that.
Steal it.
Stealing it. Well, not to plug the podcast we're already on, but we do get letters from instructors who use this in the classroom.
I'm totally going to use it in the classroom when we talk about revision and submission.
Right. Awesome. Okay.
Yes. And so if you're using it in the classroom, hi, Jennifer students.
Hello.
You're really lucky.
You better
I am here
respect
now,
her.
and then I'm there.
You better respect her.
Awesome.
Like Black Mirror.
Exactly. We're in the future.
Guys, I think we might be
think we're
ready
ready.
to roll a vote here, huh? Yeah.
Okay.
So, Jen, you're going to text
Through
Joe Zhang.
Zoom.
She's
There's
got
a
that
chat
through Zoom,
function.
Joe.
Yep. We can see you.
Joe Zhang, our wonderful sound engineer,
Hello, Joe.
on the board, on the
On the keys.
keys right
Wait,
now. DJ.
I don't know what I'm texting. Who am I texting?
So
what am I
there's
doing?
a-
Sorry.
The Zoom.
Is there a space where she can write, Joe?
Yeah, there's a chat function in Zoom.
Oh, Joe doesn't have a mic
Ooh,
today. Sometimes
chat
Joe.
function.
Yeah.
Let me go to there.
on the bottom of your screen.
Joe, you don't have a mic today? That's a bummer. Sometimes he chimes in really great things.
Chat. I am chatting.
Okay, so you're going to just chat a yes or a no and give that to Joe. And in the room, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
Joe's going to tell us what you said. And we're waiting. And
Yay!
yay, it's unanimous.
Lauren Michelle
Yay,
Jackson.
thank you, Lauren Michelle Jackson. Jen, I should have asked you this in advance.
This one next. Word.
Would you care to read for us? Because I would love for you
Sure.
to. Perfect.
Yay.
So
I'm
you're
going to
going
do the house guests.
Okay, and who's that poet?
Is it Rosemary Kitchen?
Nope.
Who is it?
Stella Padnos Shea.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm mispronouncing
I
that.
believe you. I don't see those words anywhere, but I believe you.
Okay.
Word.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let me say her name one more time. The poet that we're going to discuss right now is Stella
Okay.
Padnos Shea.
And how do you spell Padnoshe?
Padnos is Padnos, and then it's hyphen SHEA.
Okay. Okay. House guests. The house guest was not a house guest. I mistakenly invited him in as my distraction, as my soiled laundry, as my manhole with steam you quaintly rising. The house guest lived largely inside my telephone, my cellular phone, the number belonging solely to me, intruding through my smallest, most forgettable spaces. I met him at the playground, a married dad. I love those, except for mine. It started in small, small ways, cellular. And as the days punctuated themselves via text, the words became the house guest, invited off the street. Soon enough, 2 a.m. would hit, and the unanonymous yet absent of a body words would metastasize. I want to fuck you. Or my heart is pounding, and this is a terrible idea. See you soon. Perhaps the kind, stupid spouse was the house guest, passing in and out of relevance like laundry on the line, a slight scent as he entered or vacated the room. Perhaps I am the house guest. I often don't recognize myself for what I am doing, acting like what I wouldn't say, but others would. Perhaps the phone was the house guest, settled on the coffee table on vibrate. When it would go off, my eyes met the scent of the fabric softener, then returned to the phone, the dirt she preferred.
Oh, great reading, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Bro. Wow. I have to say, I I'm entranced by this piece, by this poem. And it's funny that we're calling it a poem because it's 3 paragraphs.
Yes.
Truly.
Well, it doesn't go anywhere. It's like the cruise ship exits the harbor and comes right back.
Exactly.
So that's a poem.
That's a great way. And I feel like in the universe of this poem, so a cruise ship is exactly right. I feel like I'm in the SS House Guests and I am in the cabin. And listeners, what you need to know is that Joe Zhang, our producer, just snapped a shot of this poem because he's listening hard, right? Listening hard. Anyway,
I love the tension. I had like anxiety. You know what I mean? I really did.
Dude,
I was holding my breath.
I'm a little sweaty.
Oh, what's gonna happen?
Somebody's gonna.
Well, she sets it up right away with that first phrase. The house guest was not a house guest. It's like, oh, it's anything can happen day.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
this thing is not this thing.
Yeah.
So when you start a poem like that, you're just messing with our heads right from the start in a good way. You've immediately established tension.
Right.
And I think it's
I'm a huge fan of dramatic irony in the first person, so that the person speaking does not know what's really happening. And I love all those perhaps at the end.
Me too. The
Perhaps, it's like a litany, and it just gets really rolling.
Yeah, the suppositions of what is this? What am I enmeshed in, and continuing to dig through.
And I love the dirty laundry, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that she does this with such elegance because dirty laundry could be such a cliched metaphor. However, right?
It's my soiled laundry.
It's my soiled laundry, and it's my soiled laundry in the first paragraph, and it's fabric softener, right? In the last, right? And then so it's like scent on top of scent, on top of tension, on top of the atmosphere, right, inside this cruise ship.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, I always think about the cell phone as like such an intimate object because it is yours and yours alone. You know, and that's
You've
how
got your naked pictures of yourself in it, the thousands and thousands of naked pictures of yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that is the, you know, I heard something the other day on a podcast that cheating has never been more prolific as it is right now. And the ability to cheat has never been easier. And the ability to get caught has never been easier.
Isn't
that incredible?
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. And you know, almost entirely because of the cell phone.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, I let's talk about that, right? So in the second paragraph, and as the days punctuated themselves via text, the words became the house guest. I love the playfulness of that line because you know, we're in the realm of a poem here. You think text is referring to the text on the page. There's all that sort of like, you know, reflexive poetic gesture in that, but she literally means the cell phone text, right?
Yes.
The verbs become the house guest. And then when you read this, Jennifer, it confirmed and compounded the surprise and tension, right? Like when she drops the F-bomb after a sentence that is soon enough, comma, 2 a.m. would hit, comma, and the unanonymous, comma, yet absent of a body, comma, words would metastasize, colon, I want to fuck you. Like the delay, the delay, boom, right? And it's like, it just kind of staggers you.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is so wrong. Here we go anyway. My heart is pounding, and this is a terrible idea.
I love that's my favorite. That might be my favorite line in the poem.
Me too.
Except for the last 6 lines in the poem.
perhaps. Yeah, it's amazing how
I
that tension builds.
I have one question about it. The second to the last word, the dirt she preferred.
Right.
She is the eye is suddenly looking at itself. It's the dirt she preferred versus the dirt I preferred. What do you think about that?
So first thoughts, when I get to that she, it sort of like allows me back into the poem and curious about like the sort of gendered I, right? I met him at the playground, a married dad. So now I'm thinking the house guest is he, right? But by the end, it's the dirt that she preferred. So now who's the lover? Like who's the, like it, you know, like is this like a homosexual relationship? Is the I female and the lover female? But we've got this male in the second paragraph. And so for me, like the slippiness of that adds to the mystery and the tension and the possibilities of it, right? So, but I don't know. That's my
I just
thought.
think it's the wrong pronoun.
I don't. I think much more simply, the whole thing, much of this thing, is an exploration of who the house guest is. Perhaps this one, perhaps me, right? I think that she is his wife. I mean, I think she loves. I met him at the playground, a married dad. I love those except for mine. I'm going to just go with she's hetero. I'm not going to read all these layers of complication. She's hetero.
Well,
a woman married to a man.
If she's not, I want just some clear indication so I can stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right. I think
it's not the whole thing is a puzzle, so I don't need a puzzle in a puzzle.
Right. But wait, I'm trying to find this other spot. Who's the kind, stupid house? The
spouse.
Sorry, perhaps the
Spouse.
kind, stupid spouse was the house guest. I actually think that is another reference to the other man's wife.
But look at the rest of the
You know?
sentence, right? So perhaps the kind, stupid spouse of the house guest passing in and out of relevance, like laundry on the line, a slight scent as he entered.
Right.
Or doesn't the he go to the spouse?
It goes
I think so.
it goes to the man she's having the affair with, the married dad. That's why. That's another indication for me that that's
okay.
her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the speaker is a woman having an affair with a married man, and that she. And that paragraph, and that stanza, and the third stanza is the other wife.
Got it.
Yeah.
The wife that's being.
That's what I get too. I
Yeah.
think that last sentence alludes to the idea that the wife has caught on, and like the dirt she preferred, like I've got dirt on you, like the dirt she prefers, and like what she points to and like looks to for like you're an unfaithful man is the phone that the last sentence is talking about.
Yeah. Because the fabric softener's tied in both spots too.
Yeah,
so I
you're
think
right.
that's
You're
our
right.
clue.
Yep, you're right. But I love how Jen put that. It's like, you know, you don't want to spend time thinking about this stuff, right? The sort of like.
No, I
whether-
don't. I just want to watch this writer
Yep.
cycle through. Perhaps this is the house guest.
Yeah.
Perhaps this is the house guest. Because it's a very tight little world. And she turns on everything in the end. Everything she's mentioned, she turns on it. So that's what I want to see her do. I think that move is her turning on herself. But I don't need that move at all, if that's what's happening. I just feel like that's the wrong word.
See, that didn't trip me up at all. I just read that as easy cheesy the spouse again. She's talking about the other man's wife. Because she would know her too. That's why she says kind to kind. You know, they're playground moms together. She's you know what I mean? She knows her as well,
So
at least knows her as a nice woman in the
phone was
neighborhood.
the house guest. Maybe the phone's a she. No, that would be it. Perhaps the phone was the house guest, settled on the coffee table on vibrate. That means it has like a latent explosive quality to it. When it vibrates, it goes off like a bomb. When it would go off, my eyes met the scent of fabric softener. So the phone equals dirty laundry. All these things are connected. Then it would see fabric softener, then the phone, which equaled the dirt. Not the wife isn't in here. The spouse isn't in here.
Right.
She's not in this scenario.
So who is preferring
Dirt.
the dirt?
If you change it to an I, it makes perfect sense. The dirt I preferred.
Because that goes back actually to the first sentence of the second. I met him at the
Yeah.
playground and married dad. I love those except for mine. So the dirt I preferred is the cheating. Right?
The dirt I preferred.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fascinating. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't complicate it. I didn't get stymied. I just thought it was the
Did you
spouse.
think that she at the end was the kind, stupid spouse?
Yes. Because we have laundry in both references, and we're still debating who the house guest is.
Can we call Stella?
Right.
We can call
Can we
Stella.
just call Stella?
And
Stella.
I think this is what I just want to end with.
Okay.
the she did not bother me, so I would not ask Stella to change that she. If you guys want to ask her so that we know her intent, you know what I mean? But I think Joseph and I both.
I'd like to know her intent, and if this is suddenly I'm watching myself,
Right.
Yeah.
or if that she is the spouse.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joseph and I easily read it as the spouse and didn't get tripped. How about you, Tim?
Well, I sort of thought the kind, stupid spouse was the woman's husband. But whoever it is, I like the idea of this person. And I really like the poem. I like that line connected to the word choice of metastasize, because to me this is one of those words that throws a color over the whole poem.
Yeah.
If you, it's not necessary to understand the poem, but it really locks every image in. And I love the idea of a kind, stupid spouse compared to a trusting spouse, because trust is kind of a willful stupidity. You sort of think, okay, I'm in this for the whole game, and I'm just going to just let things. I'm not going to worry about these things. I'm going to
they're
trust
always
somebody.
the last to know, right? Because they don't want to know.
But it's the only way to live. If you can't live
I hear
not
you.
trusting, because you're going to drive yourself crazy, you're going to drive the other person crazy, you can drive everybody crazy. So you just have to. Which is why it's such a why betraying trust is such a terrible thing, because you're totally taking advantage of this willful stupidity that you have to lull yourself into, and you're so vulnerable because of this stupidity to betray it. That's the big risk, and the gift too. So the fact that this poet puts the words metastasize and kind, stupid spouse heightens the dramatic level of it to match what they're doing. Well, I'm listening to what everyone's talking about poetically, which always makes my mind sort of spin. I can't say those same things. But I know that when they are talked about in that way, the dramatic level has to match it. And that's, for me, what it does.
Yeah. And
Those
note
two
also
moments.
the level of specificity of a word like metastasize versus kind, stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are like one a child would use and another wouldn't.
Yeah.
So the speaker's level of awareness of what they're doing is they are very, very much aware.
Oh, there's so much control. I mean, it's like this poet. It reminds me of Prince saying how a few years ago, it was about 5 or 10 years ago, his band was so good and so well rehearsed that when they played live, they could play any song ever written anytime they wanted to at the drop of a hat. And I feel like certain poems like this, you feel like the poets just got whatever they need. Right, in the moment, which is a beautiful thing. Of course, it doesn't happen in the moment. They slave over it and they carve it up and everything. But the presentation of it appears that way, which is makes it look easy, which is what's so frustrating as writers. When you see this, it's both beautiful and also terrifying, because that's what you have to do, too. You know, you have to. I think those are the two moments. Those are the two hot spots for me.
Well, guys, do you think it's time to vote?
Yeah, I think so.
Should we call Stella? We're not going to call her.
Can we? Should we? What do you think about this? Do we need to call Stella? Do we want to ask about that she?
Right now?
Do we have
No.
her number?
We might not even have her number.
I think that means no.
I think that means no. But
I don't think you have to give your number on Submittable, just your email.
No.
all right, but let's go fishing for Stella today, right?
You can ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Put a little follow-up
this
in the
means,
blurb.
listeners, you're going to have to keep on listening and find out the answer.
Exactamundo.
So, let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
Get ready. Jen, you
One.
ready on your chat functionality?
Getting there.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, vote. It's unanimous
Wow.
2 for 2 today.
There you go, 2018.
Woo! I told you it was different.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was really great. Thank you so much, Jennifer Knox, for being with us today, and thank you so very much
for having me. This is, this is such a valuable resource, which makes it sound really unsexy, but it is. It's both things. It's sexy and a valuable resource.
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you for saying that.
That's like you look hot in your mom jeans.
Yeah, right. You managed to make those mom jeans look. All right, everybody.
All right, sending you
Nice to
love.
meet you.
With you. Bye.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
Jennifer. Fight the good fight.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Love
too.
you.
Bye.
Talk to you
Bye.
soon. So, listeners, yes, Jen had to take off, but I just want to say thank you so much to Lauren Michelle Jackson and to Stella Padno-Shea for your work today. I would like to ask our listeners to tell us what you think. We are on all social media platforms. We have an email address, right? Don't we?
bbq@drexel.edu.
Oh, cool. Okay, so we hope to hear from you. Keep reading, keep listening.
Yeah.
Woo!